D here with a video on all about my add-ons. A little bit of a disclaimer for me is that I am an add-on fiend, so you can see down here I currently have 45 add-ons. If I see something that I like to get it, so obviously these are not required. I don't believe you need any kind of add-ons to play this game. These just make my life a little bit better. To start off with, we'll talk about I use WowUp to manage my mods. I like it a little bit better than CurseForge. There's no specific reason for that, um, other than they have automatic updates, which you can enable by going into options, and then you can see here that you can hit edit and turn on this auto update and save. And then that way, every time you get a new mod, it will automatically update. And if you just don't already have that turned on, you can right click them and turn on auto update. But to start off with, we'll be going over the add-ons that I use specifically for keys. Some of them will be a little bit of quality of life updates for keys. Some of them are things that I just believe that I need, or some are just for convenience sakes. So starting off with, we have Astral Keys. This is an add-on that I basically only use to put the keystone into the keystone tower at the beginning of keys. That's the only thing it really does for me anymore. It also has other functions like announcing your key when you get a new one, or you can put exclamation point keys in chat and it'll look for everyone else with this add-on and tell you their keys as well. But Details now also does that, so that takes away that functionality, for me at least. Our next key one is Be Quiet. This takes away the big talking heads. This is way more of a quality of life thing for myself, as I just don't like having those pop up, but obviously not something that's needed. Next we have Big Wigs and Little Wigs. This is a boss mod add-on that tells you what boss's abilities are coming up and can give you little voice prompts or text prompts of if you should dodge, taunt, use defensive, anything like that, um, as well as I have a voice pack installed for it. Next up, we have Details, this damage meter, which you can see down here in the bottom right of the screen. This is just to show you how much damage you and your team is doing. I like to also track interrupts on my tank. I have some healing done just because I like to see the numbers go up. Following that, we're going down to Hakili Priority Helper. This is not something that's needed. I like to use this when I'm learning new classes because this will literally tell you what button to push next. So it's a good way to start on a class, but once you've gotten that start, you should be looking at it and figuring out why you're pushing that button next. What buff you get or what buff you have that's causing you to push that next button. Alright, and then next we have Little Wigs. That's just the dungeon portion of Big Wigs. Big Wigs is for raids, Little Wigs is for dungeons. Loggerhead is what I use to start the combat logging for the dungeons. I used to do this with DBM, but since I went over to Big Wigs, I didn't see an option in Big Wigs and Little Wigs to turn on combat logging, so I use Loggerhead now. It also has several other things, such as achievement tracking, I believe, but I don't use those. Next up for this, I have Mega Macro. This just expands how many macros you can have on your character and your account. I know that they just released more macros per character and account, Blizzard did. So this may not actually be necessary anymore, but when I first started healing and needed a bunch of those damage healing and, you know, mouse over macros, this was very helpful. Alright, next up we've got Mythic Dungeon Tools. This is an add-on that will show you a map of the dungeons that are for that season. You can actually look at any season that you want to, but this will let you plan out your routes. If you're not a tank, this isn't very necessary, but as a tank player, I like to go through and make routes, and me and my friends will change up these routes as we see fit. Um, like maybe we can't pull all of this all at once, and so we'll have to change them, but this is just good to be able to figure out what your count needs to be at, and it's a useful tool for that. Next up, we've got Omni CD. This add-on is what shows us. I use it specifically for uh, CC tracking. I can track everyone else's CC here so that I can announce it to the group and call what we need. I also track offensives for my party. So like right here you can see I'm tracking Incarn for druids, but with other groups like for my evoker I'm tracking his dragon rage, or uh, I'm tracking meta for my DH, that kind of thing. Alright, and after Omni CD we've got Plater nameplates. This is one that's really controversial in my group on if you need, because out of the 4 mainstay people in my group, 2 of us use Plater and 2 of us use default Blizzard nameplates. Um, I'm not a fan of the default nameplates. They don't give you much information. They don't um, tell you if you have aggro. Like, there's not really much they do. So, like, you can see here, these are mine. And I will say that the other person who uses Plater in my group, their nameplates look completely different than mine. It's very customizable, lots of options, and there's always profiles that you can usually get from your favorite streamers or YouTubers of how theirs looks. Also, my players tell me when there's, like, they have a voice interaction when there's something to kick. So I enjoy that. And that's by using the shared media that gives that voice back. But next up we have pre-made group filters. This is also one that's probably not actually required anymore because Blizzard just revamped their looking for group system, and to where it actually does this, where it shows the roles and class and all that. So that's not super necessary anymore. I also have the Raider IO add-on that'll just, when you hover over people, it'll tell you their M plus score or their raid data. And another one I like to use is true stat values. This is not really for keys specifically, but if you hover over your stats here, it'll show you where the diminishing returns start for any of your stats. And that's something that's just nice to have. And the last key focused one is WeakAuras. And now WeakAuras are a lot of different options. As you can see, I have quite a few on here. Just like with add-ons, I am very into WeakAuras that do anything that I would like them to, so that I can spend less time trying to figure out what is going on and more time just surviving and calling some sort of cooldowns. Alright, so that was everything for the keys. Next we're going to go over some quality of life things. First up, we've got Baginator. That's just a different skin for my bag. I just don't care for the original look, so this is what I like. Following that up, we've got Blizz Move. This allows you to move any kind of Blizzard menu. Like normally you can move this window. I like it a lot because I'm constantly having multiple windows open and I like to be able to move them around. Craft Sim shows you information about your crafts. It's this entire add-on here, and I use it mostly to sim um, something that I want to make, and it will tell you the quality that you can get to. And over here, this craft sim spec info also tells you what points you have applied to it and where you could get more points to get a better craft. Next up, we have DMF Quest. I just got this, I think yesterday or the day before, but this is supposed to help you with the Dark Moon Fair quest that come out once a month for a week, and I use that to get the profession points in there. Next is LVUI. That is a complete overhaul for the Blizzard UI. As you can see, my game does not look like the base UI at all. All of this is LVUI. There's a lot of different options that you can go through and change everything. I think it looks a lot cleaner. It doesn't look like a game that came out in 2004. That's why I use LVUI. Next couple ones are just kind of, whatever. Global ignore list and chat spam filter. This is just to get rid of the people that are trying to sell, runs and all that, as well as you can ignore a certain name and it'll ignore that name on all servers. Guild roster manager is nothing really. It just shows you your guild roster and any changes that happen in the guild, like if people come into the guild, if they leave the guild, if they get kicked, if they get promoted, demoted. It's not real useful unless you're in upper management of the guild. Kill track is just something funny. You can hover over an mob anywhere in the world and it'll tell you how many times you've killed that mob. Nothing here is actually killable, so can't see it, but just it's a little something. Leatrix Plus is what I use for a bunch of my automation. So like it picks up quests automatically, it turns them in automatically. This is when you're talking to that quest NPC. You can also do things like accept your summons automatically, accept party invites, things like that. And then we've got Light Mount. This is an add-on focused on the mounts throughout the game. It does a lot, but I basically just use it so I can push a single button and it'll give me a different mount every time, and those mounts are always going to be applicable to the zone that you're in, meaning that if you can only have a land mount, then you'll get land mounts. If you're in the water, you'll get a water mount. If you can fly, you'll always get a flying mount. That kind of thing. Alright, next up, Method Raid Tools is kind of more raid focused if you're doing higher end raiding. What I've mostly seen it used for is that you can create notes with people's cooldowns. I've mostly seen that for either healer cooldowns or when you have to assign people to get certain mechanics at certain times. This mini-map button, it's not as useful as it was because Blizzard put in this add-ons button on the mini-map, but this does collect the rest of the buttons that don't go into this and just makes it neater. Movie skip does exactly what it sounds like. It just skips cutscenes because I don't care about them. Nameplate scrolling combat text is just another quality of life thing. It doesn't really change anything. It just makes the uh, damage text look a little bit different. Not needed for anything. I just was looking for a way to get rid of a lot of little damage instances when I was playing Shadow Priest and had all the dots everywhere, and I wanted to see where my actual big hits were coming from. So I got that. It's not really set up on Bear, so I think this is default how it looks. Alright. Playtime just shows you your overall played time. It's Details also has a slash played that'll tell you for your character. Playtime has a slash playtime that'll tell you for every one of your characters as long as you've logged into them. So like I can see on Bear, which you guys can't see because it's behind the chat, but you can see on Bear that I have 39 days total on Bear. But then you can also see that I have 97 days total on everyone. Which actually isn't true because D-Claw should not be in there because that's just D-Bear. No. Alright. Simulation Craft is what lets you type in /simc and it'll give you this output here. You could take this output into any of the simulation sites, which is for DPS is raidbots.com, and then you can input that output into raidbots and it'll give you your most accurate up-to-date information whenever you're trying to sim anything. Speedy auto loot just makes you auto loot even faster. You don't even see the window pop up when you right click to loot. The Syndicator tracks where everything is in your bags. Kind of, that's a kind of bad way to say it, but it also lets you see what your other characters have. So even though I'm on Bear, I can see what's in my Evoker's bag or in my Priest bag. So just a little something to help you figure out where things are. Also, if you're just hovering over something, it'll tell you if other people have that in their inventory. So you can see I have 4 of these on Bear and 1 in the Monk. Alright, talent loadout extension. This just lets you have extra loadouts, which is great when you play multiple specs of the same class on the same character, because you can only have like 6 loadouts, I think. And this is very simple, where rather than having a different loadout here, you just click on this, load it, and then you can apply the changes. And so it doesn't actually take a slot. You can put as many as you want over here. Alright, next up we've got TomTom and TomTom Group Member Arrow. These are very simple and they just put an arrow on your screen whenever you have a target set somewhere. It also interacts with like quest markers sometimes, and the group member means that if I had anyone in my party right now, I could click on them and it would set an arrow in their direction. Which, yes, all of this also happens up in the map. It's just something that I like to have there and it is not needed for anything else. We've gone over true stat values. Unlimited map pin distance is something that I enjoy because the default for Blizzard is 1,000 yards away. So if it's over 1,000 yards, you wouldn't see this icon here with how far it is and how much time it takes you to get there moving at your current speed, that kind of thing. Alright, World Quest Tracker. That is, I don't even believe I have that turned on right now, but it will have a section on this map where it's usually up here, I believe by default, where you can just click on all the world quests on here and it'll add them to your objective tracker. And then it shows you the distance you are from each one of them, and you can just click on them to set that as your tracked quest, and you can move around like that. Alright, now we'll move into WeakAuras. As I said earlier when we briefly discussed the WeakAuras, I am a WeakAura fiend. Anything that will could make it easier on me, I usually get, or if I see it cool on another streamer or YouTuber's page, I'll get it. So first up, we've got Automatic Turn Maze Navigator. This is supposed to basically figure out what the maze pattern is in the key mist that's coming out in Season 1 of The War Within. I've heard that this won't actually work, and there's only a few actual patterns to go through the maze, so this was more of a crutch to help in the early season, and won't really need any help with that getting into the mid or later season. I also have this WeakAura from Quasi that just when you ready up, it says, did you check talent and hit record? City of Threads Spy Finder, it helps you find the spies in the City of Threads dungeons. This is another one that's also unlikely to actually work once the season comes through, because it works off of them having different character IDs, and they changed that in the Court of Stars in Dragonflight, so it's unlikely that that'll actually work. This is the Dornegal map labels. This is what helped me and my party a lot when we first started playing, as it labels this map with text of what everything is and where things are. You won't need that much longer into the season, really. Dungeon teleport buttons. These add, you can't see them right now, but they just, when you click on these Mythic Plus dungeons and you have the portal, it'll add the dungeons starting from this top right and going down, so you don't have to find them in your spellbook or add them into your bar. Efficient stats is right up here. That just shows your different stats. I like to be able to see this because it's fun. I'd like for the stream and videos to just be able to see what I have at any moment in time. I also like to be in Incarn and just watch this armor number go up and hit the cap. External cooldown tracker. This is, I use it for external defensives, basically, to know that if my disc priest has put suppressed pain on me. It also does things such as PI and Tiger's Lust from monks. So it's kind of just something cool. This funky clickable raid buffs is what tells me if I don't have Mark of the Wild selected or applied to myself and others. It will also pop up if I don't have the Dreambound Augment rune put on. You can see it up here, and then you can just click these and it applies them rather than having to go through your bag to find them. Interrupt tracker, I could use OmniCD, but I've been trying out this interrupt tracker instead. It seems to be working well, And as a tank who calls out things, it's very nice to be able to track that. Also, I have a Keystone Reroller that's just that pops up at the end of dungeons once we've finished it for the Keystone dungeons, and it's great because I never remember to reroll it. I have this M plus healer low mana announcer because I don't look at my healer's mana, and she doesn't always communicate if it's low or not. And really, it's mostly just I don't look at it, and I'll even forget if she does say it. And so just having that little bit of text to pop up above my own head that says that it's low is a great reminder for myself. This M plus timer is a complete redo of the original M plus timer that Blizzard provides. It has a little bit more information, such as actual count. It also, this parentheses over here tells you how much count you currently have pulled that you're actively fighting. And so that's really a lot of the reason that I use it. It also tells you the cutoffs for a +1, +2, or +3. I have this knowledge points tracker. This shows you the profession knowledge points. This is great, especially at the start of expansions, because it'll tell you where all the knowledge points around the world are, where you can buy them from what reps and all of that. And it also tells you where the weekly stuff is and what you have and haven't done. I have this battle res tracker. It's literally just a bit of text with a timer on it. I also have this potions and health stones down here that'll just show you everything for a quick, easy read. I use Quasi's UI WeakAuras for Druid. I've been enjoying it, so I would suggest it. He has a huge video about how to customize it to what you need. So if this is something you're interested in, go check him out. I made this Ravage proc WeakAuras that just pops up with an icon of Ravage whenever you have it when I'm playing Druid of the Claw. It's nice to have for myself because I can't see my buttons or when they change from Maul to Ravage. The Season 1 Dungeons, The War Within, is a dungeon pack that'll pull up a bunch of information about mobs and bosses within the original season, Season 1. This is going to be a little overlapping with a boss mod pack with either DBM or Big Wigs, Little Wigs. So you will have to change up a couple of things to make sure that you're not getting two alerts for the same thing. And then I just have a Soothe WeakAuras that whenever there's a mob that can be soothed, it pops up a little icon for me so that I know that I can press Soothe. That way I don't have to pay too much attention to is it going to be an enrage or anything like that. I also have an After the Wildfire WeakAuras that just tells me how much more rage I need until I proc After the Wildfire, but I don't take it, so it's not loaded right now. And then I also have the Quasi Monk pack. And that's all of my add-ons and WeakAuras. This is a bit longer than I was planning on doing, but that is a rather light explanation of each one of the things that I have. Now this is going to be changing a lot because I'll see something that I like and get that as well, or I'll no longer need something because I've gotten a different add-on and it takes care of the functionality of the entire reason that I had a different one. So you can always come to the stream and ask me if anything's changed, or ask me to show you my current add-ons and weak auras. You can also come and ask me any questions about configurations. I'm not fully confident in answering, niche questions, but I have messed around with a lot of these, so just let me know. Let me know if you have any suggestions of add-ons or weak auras that I should have, and let me know if you like this kind of video. Alright, thanks for watching. If you watched all the way through this, leave me a comment, like, subscribe. Thanks a lot.